Good morning. Good morning from Budapest. Good to see you.
Hello from Australia. So it's everybody's excited. They're all waiting for you to explain a little bit about yourself. You know, I've been waiting. We're all excited and waiting. I have a couple of questions.
Wonderful.
Let's have a talk.
Go ahead.
All right. So let's begin. So my first question is, from performer to visionary leader, you have been a part of the circus world for over 40 years. How did your journey begin, and what originally drew you to the art of juggling and performance?
Okay, it's a big question. Like yourself, I was born into the world of circus.
Yes.
Fourth generation, at least four. Grandparents were also part of the circus. Who I didn't know. I knew my grandparents. One grandfather was a strongman, Kristof, the French Hercules, who performed like fakir stunts as a strong man, bending steel, putting a big rock onto his stomach, and then having it smashed up by two people with big
hammers.
Hammers, yes. To being an elephant tamer on his later days, and to becoming an illusionist, a magician. That's one side of the family. The other side of the family, my mom's father is Shalai. He was a gymnast and joined the circus with contortion, with handstand, with acrobatics, founded the Shalai troupe. But both grandfathers on both sides married two circus women. So circus ladies were there before. And God knows for how many generations. So I tend to say I'm a fourth generation, but it could be more than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was lucky and fortunate enough to grow into our wonderful world, to play with other circus children like we do. So, your parents open up the caravan door in the morning so they can get a bit of a sleep more, and then you're out there connecting with the other kids, so you learn the languages and you try to have fun, and you see a sand yard, and what you do instead of building castles, you draw a circle in the sand yard and you stand in the middle and pretend it's the circus ring. And we would actually mimic our parents. There you go. Take a wooden board and put the stone underneath and then pretend it's a teeter board. And obviously for you it was the urban teeter board troupe. For me it was the duo Kristof. But yes, parents were the main inspiration, and the parents of other performers. My parents did this teeter board duo. They got to Monte Carlo in 1977, winning a Silver Clown, becoming quite famous at their craft. Also performed a perch act, the old school perch where my mom would climb up to 9 meters of height, no lunge, no safety, crazy things, stuff that shouldn't exist anymore, and
a little different.
Very, very, very different. And unfortunately, that act actually led to an accident after 30 years of active careers. And then they had to suddenly stop. But this gave my father a chance to take a shift and become the director of the Capitol Circus in Budapest.
Didn't they also come to Australia? They came here, didn't they?
Yes, they came to Australia in 1977 with The Greatest Show on Earth was called, produced by Michael Edgley. And I tagged along. I must have been about 7, 8 years old, and I remember this huge circus tent, about 6,000 people, and a lot of shows. And I think McDonald's and Kellogg's was the sponsor, and a huge show with the Brunley, a space rocket with Rogana, with Boychanova teeter board, with Mechkarovi, which the Russian bar, with Lily Yokoy on the golden bicycle, Michael Chen hand balancing on like a high structure, to Rudi Schweitzer. And Rudi Schweitzer was a very important person because he performed in Australia as the gentleman juggler. And at age 7, he became my all-time hero. So instead of following the Cavaretas flying Tyrrells
Yeah.
or Manfred Doval with the high wire, or Lily Okoy with the bicycle, for me it was Rudi Schweitzer, the gentleman juggler.
Yeah.
That was the act of my dreams, and he was the
Oh, you
person
did it. Yeah.
who inspired me to take up juggling. And luckily enough, I was so young that I didn't waste much time trying other disciplines and things. So I'm no good at nothing except juggling. So I found
Hey, but you did a
my
great
thing.
job.
Thank you.
You did. We all did. I did too. I had my flying trapeze and teeter board. I sort of started the same. But it was a little bit of a different time for us. The Hungarian style was a little different
Yes.
back in the day.
But I guess the Hungarian style was very exotic at the time, and acrobatics, ground acrobatics, teeterboard was a specialty coming from Eastern Europe, and yeah, large, small, two people, big troops, ortobadis, and
Yeah,
so on, like Orban,
a lot of
Chopov,
discipline.
and Faludi, and I could go on. There was a whole
Yeah,
array of big teeterboard troops. So yes, going back to the original question, grandparents gave it to my parents, and I was grown into it. I grew up with the circus, but then when my father became the director of the Capital Circus, I started helping him out a little bit on the management side. Mostly when we founded in 1996 the first international circus festival of Budapest. That's where sort of my help was needed, speaking several languages and knowing a little bit about production already at the time. I was maybe already 27. So I made myself useful, and then slowly became the artistic director of the Budapest Circus Festival, and that went on all the way until 2012, when we had a change in the leadership in Hungary. So my dad stopped being the director. He was then a full retired pensioner, and I went back to my juggling. So my career was a little bit back and forward between performing and then managing and then performing again and then managing again, and that still goes on. So I'm 56 now. I still perform time to time. I like to call myself a Christmas juggler because I only perform during Christmas in Europe.
I had a pleasure working with you. I got to work with you one time, while we were there. I don't remember what it was called, the Hungarian.
I
I
think
don't know what it was called.
it was for Circus Nights at Balaton with Richter Florian Circus.
Yes.
It's the largest traveling circus in Hungary, and in the summer we have like this special evening with extended shows where audiences get a little bit more extra. So the show starts at 7, but we go on almost until midnight, and I think we were part of that extended show as a special guest, and
Yes.
I had the pleasure to share. Yeah, a great time and a
No, it
great
was great.
evening.
I had an amazing time. It was a pleasure just to participate and meet everybody and work with everybody there. And we had a fantastic time. It was beautiful. The weather was great. It was amazing time for me and my family.
And Balaton is magic. That's the Hungarian sea. Those are our beaches, so around the lake.
Yeah.
And circuses get to gather there around July and August, the main summer vacation time, and everybody's doing good business. So there are over 10, let's say about 10, 12 circuses that concentrate around the lake, and people are there to have fun, and it's a great environment to enjoy daytime and also perform in the evening.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And yes, another questions. Your thoughts on balancing tradition and innovation. You've worked with both traditional circuses like Crone and contemporary troupes like Recircle, which you had a big part of. What was the biggest creative and structural differences in directing these forms, these different kinds of shows?
Yes.
Because tradition, and you've got tradition, then you've got the new modern type. I actually did see the show. I thought it was something, blew me away. It was something else. You know, I was not expecting what I saw with Recircle. It was absolutely something amazing.
I believe like circus arts is under constant change. So we have to find ways to renovate ourselves to keep up with times. Times are changing for several reasons, trends, laws. Um, young people, they scroll through their social media, through their phones. Everything has to be quicker, faster. So I think that the contemporary word is been always around. Circus always had to find new ways, and I was always intrigued by what's the next thing. What's the next trend? How could we introduce new things and keep circus fresh and keep the young people connected to circus. And this was one of the main tasks and missions I had as artistic director of the Budapest Circus Festival, to find ways to introduce time to time contemporary circus acts. Not as extreme as, let's say, Paris, Cirque du Demand, that it's a contemporary circus festival which presents now only contemporary. Or let's say on the other half, Monte Carlo Circus Festival always presented very traditional, and it's the traditional circus festival. With Budapest, I was trying to link a little bit both words, and I thought that contemporary, if it had technical difficulty, so if the content was respectable also from the viewpoint of traditional circus, then it had a place in our competition. And with the good difficulty, why not a different presentation? Why not a different approach to packaging that kind of content? Trying to bridge these two worlds was always interesting, and I had the pleasure to work also for cinema, also for movies, for Disney's Dumbo, and
yeah, you had a big hand in that too. Yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah,
we saw you. We watched you the other night with my son. You know, we pointed you out.
Yeah, wonderful. That was a surprise. Yeah, that was a surprise myself. I had a phone call. An agency called me from London saying that they had seen a contemporary show that I was involved with. It was actually called Urban. Funny enough, the show. Yeah, and it's a company from Colombia, Cirque Colombia. And Urban was introduced in the Roundhouse in London. And I was there for the main premiere. And I met some people, sort of the circus makers in London, but mostly from the contemporary world. And they got approached by Disney for the remake of Dumbo. And this time Dumbo was a live action movie with known actors, directed by Tim Burton, with actors like Eva Green or Danny DeVito, Colin Farrell. So
it was a very good movie.
Some pretty big names, and the reason why they approached me, because they wanted to have classic circus, but they also needed somebody who could understand, let's say, the language that is used in theater or the language that is used in the movie making. And somehow I got the job. So I helped them for the casting. I helped them with circus advice. I explained how circuses had been working, traveling, tents, elephant behavior, how we handle elephants, and that actually then that got a little further, and I was asked to help them with the choreography. So basically, to create the circus scenes within the movie. And sometimes this was easy because we would rep the movie script, which was like the Bible to them. And some parts were very, very accurate. Let's say when, boss sniffs this little feather with his trunk and he gets stuck and then he sneezes it out and then suddenly his big ears flop out and then he levitates from the ground. So that scene in the script was very detailed. So it was kind of sort of say easy or straightforward to replicate. But other times the script would say big fanfare and the drum roll and the curtain opens and the show begins. And that was it. There was no more information in the script. and someone had to invent what begins, what happens when the
Improvise.
curtain opens up. So this was my job, and it was a wonderful opportunity to be able to create and to work with like real big professionals, with Oscar-winning costume designers and set designers, and yeah, with fantastic creative people in general. And while I was working on Dumbo. This took a good year and a half around London. I spotted an ad that in Bristol, Circomedia, which is a contemporary circus school, and they started a course for directing circus and physical theater. So I joined that course in order to get a master's degree and to make sense with the essays that I was giving and with the models that I had to fulfill. I tried to use topics that were actually useful in life, and I started looking for creative jobs and jobs that would be accepted by the university. And therefore, I joined Hungary's top and leading contemporary circus companies, Resirkel. So I had the pleasure to work with them for over 7 years. The main reason was to fulfill the university's models and prerequisites. But then I got really into it and enjoyed, and I learned a lot from contemporary circus. And I'm still trying to combine, the best of two worlds. I have now stopped with Recircle since the end of January and have joined the International Circus Festival of Monte Carlo as a full-time artistic advisor and a technical director.
And how is that? That must be amazing. I need to go. I really do. Like I've been there a few times, but I haven't had the pleasure to be able to go and visit. I was always working or was just traveling, or here in Australia, I'm like so far away, I never really got the chance. And what is it like doing what you're doing there? It must be incredible. You've got the most, the elite athletes, the most elite athletes in the world there. It's the best of the best.
Well, International Circus Festival Monte Carlo has been around for 50 years. Always
Yeah,
presented the
I
very
know
best
that.
of the traditional circus world, slowly opening a little, sometimes little windows also for some modern acts, some contemporary acts. But yes, it stands for the best in traditional circus. Of course, gathering acrobats, clowns, and animal shows, which are the ground basis of traditional circus. We have the pleasure and the honor of having the royal family
Yeah.
basically not just backing the festival but being part of it and being the main producers of it. So a fantastic heritage from Prince Rainier III, which has now been passed on to Princess Stephanie, who does a fantastic job by continuing this long journey and this heritage, the responsibility of holding, I think, the world's greatest circus festival. And to be part of that team is a great pleasure. It's a huge
Yeah.
honor. Yes, it's super exciting. We have a whole year to prepare, and then those 3 weeks during January are super intense, with a week of preparation and about 4 or 5 days of rehearsals, and then of course 9 days of performances.
So do you think we have a chance with our juggling act maybe to go next year?
Or duo juggling. I think that's past. Yeah. It's funny, as a juggler, I've performed in at least 12 international circus festivals, and I've done pretty much everything except Monte Carlo. And Monte Carlo is the one festival which I never had, let's say, as a juggler, the balls, to venture myself, because growing up, looking at the shelf in your caravan, looking at the silver clown of my parents, Monte Carlo always meant this huge dream, this big almost impossible achievement. And for a juggler to go there and win a clown, it's almost impossible. but somehow I never really had the courage. Every time I went to Monte Carlo to see a show, I admired the artist in the ring, and I always said to myself, thanks God I don't have to step into that ring, because I wouldn't have the nerves. I wouldn't know how to handle that. It's too much. I've done the others. I went through it. I struggled. Some with more
Yeah.
ease, some more difficult. Paris, Cirque du Man, I got a silver medal there, and then as a guest performer, I was so nervous as a guest in 2015. But something that you can handle. But Monte Carlo, no, it's something that I never had the courage to do, and actually I don't even regret it, because I have a chance now to step into the ring in Monte Carlo in a different way. Part of
Yeah,
the
but that's great.
of the
That's
organizing
fantastic.
committee. So yes, it seems like life has been generous to me, and it's giving me an opportunity in a different way.
This is the reason why I created this, is because I feel that I want to step into a different way, like speaking with amazing performers and people like yourself. And I thought that I need to do or go in a different direction, and this is what I'm trying to do with this Flyte Legacy in Motion, because it's about the legacy of everybody, of the people that still moving forwards in their legacy, who have had their legacy, so it's something that I'm trying to bring forward to the world.
I think it's very important. It's a very important task that you've aimed at, to preservation, our legacy. Just like with Princess Stephanie, we are responsible somehow of keeping up history, and our predecessors, our parents, or even colleagues from the past. They've done so much for it. And I think it's up to us to remember that, to somehow make a point to the young people today how it was, so we can learn from the past, and that we can
Yeah,
maybe find better solutions and smarter ways into the future. We do have to find ways
getting harder
to
and
stay
harder,
fresh.
even here. It's getting more difficult.
Yes, because we are competing against more things. There's a lot more in entertainment, and people have a bigger choice. But I think that live entertainment, and especially circus, is one of those art forms that speaks to the families and speaks to people regardless of age. Anywhere in the world. I mean, you could go to Africa. I'm traveling to Africa next month, because they're building the first structure circus in Ethiopia, which I find it's fantastic. To any continent in the world, and circus is there,
Amazing.
and circus is alive, and circus still speaks to families. And therefore, I think it is an intangible heritage. It's something that culturally is important to maintain, to keep, to take care of. And with programs like yours, with books written by great performers, it.
Well, like yourself, you also did a book, didn't you? You and your father. You
Yeah,
wrote a book.
when my father turned 80, I didn't know what sort of presents can I give him. I mean, what can you give to a person who has everything, who is, let's say, financially not motivated for things in life, so he's happy with his home and the gifts. It's sort of like, yeah, what kind of gift? But the book, the idea of giving him a chance to speak out, and giving him a chance to explain about his love to circus, was a project that went through the month over COVID. It was just before his 80th birthday, so it gave him something to do. Obviously, I also got involved with the whole family, with Natalia, my wife, trying to edit this book. So Judith, she's the writer, she's the author of the book. So we sat down and through interviews made this 230 page book a reality. and just in time. So for his 80th birthday, on this big party with like 40 guests, we were able to give my dad his books, and he was handing them out to his dinner guests. And the book is out there. We had a couple of thousands of copies made in Hungarian, in
Yeah,
English
you
as
gave me
well.
one. You passed one to me too while I was there, and
So we have it in
I had a
Hungarian, we
pleasure.
have it in English, and there is also a limited edition out in Russian. Since Maxim Nikulin, he got a copy from me during a festival in Girona, and he read the book. And a couple of days later, I had a phone call, and I was told that the content of that book is so important that they want to release it in Russian. And I basically gave them permission, and they've done all the work, the translation and the editing, the printing, because they felt it was important not only for the Russian circus veterans, for people who knew my father personally, but also for the young generation to know and to understand about circus history, and to see, how life was and what motivated these people to fight so hard for the circus. Um,
Yes,
and the book tells his life story. It's called My Life the Circus, and it's really about the love and the connection to the art of circus.
that's great. That's must be an honor for them to do that.
Yeah, and
It's amazing.
I would encourage anyone, to basically, if you have a topic, if you have something to say that could preserve, circus history, then yeah, we should definitely write it down, make a book or a podcast or a program like yours, anything, to mark, our art and our life, because it's
A lot of arts in most countries were not really recognized, and we do some amazing things. Like you got your gymnasts are recognized and your dancers, but we do some really dangerous stuff. Our art is very unique. And in a lot of places, it's not really recognized, oh, they're circus performers or, this and that. And it's sad that, in a way, how I see it, that our actual being is not really recognized, and it's, it is, but it isn't. I don't understand how to give it out to you. Like dancing is an art form, there's a diploma for it. Then you've got gymnastic, there's a diploma for it. You study, you finish. And for us, we don't really have anything, and we are one of the most resilient people in the world, and the biggest risk takers in the world in what we do. From flying trapeze to teeterboard to the wheel to the motorbikes to,
yeah, circus performers are the modern gladiators. And nowadays, we don't have to fight against each other or against the wild beasts. Yeah,
yeah,
circus in the Roman times was dangerous, and there is still some danger involved, especially thrill acts, stuff you see on the wheel of death. Oh my God, the motorbikes, and anybody who goes in the air, or acrobats who are willing to flip 6 times and then land on a small mattress. And unfortunately, yes, we know that it's part of circus, also this danger factor. But some countries have developed. So some countries do have school, do give out diplomas, do have universities. Scandinavia, like let's say Stockholm has a great school with BA and MA courses.
we also have NICA.
You have
NICA as well in us.
yeah.
Yes. But what I was talking about us, like as in people that grew up in the circus, people that did the art from
Yeah.
birth.
Yeah.
For us, it's very.
But I think it's up to us. It's down to us to make the difference. Because if we don't move, and if we are not able to connect to the academic world, I think we set our own borders. So it's really it's for us to make the difference. It's for us to write these books. It's for us to talk, to get organized, and to find ways to educate ourselves, to preserve what we have, our crafts. A lot has to, the dancers, yes, but they've done so much for it, for themselves. Actors as well. In Hungary, we are a bit in a lucky situation because the government supports circus arts just like any other performing art form, and I
That's
think
great.
it's
I
setting
think Ireland is the next place. Ireland, they do that as well.
wonderful. So these are good examples to follow, and I think globally, with organizations like the Fédération Mondiale du Cirque or CAX, FEDEC, the Federation of Circus Schools. I think that there are ways of connecting the know-how. I know a lady from Australia, Jasmine Straga, who's done a lot for the
Yes, I
federation.
spoke to her just the other day. I'm hoping to talk with her as well because she has some very, very interesting stories and stuff.
And definitely a big recommendation, because I think there are options for us to take, and having her in Australia, I think she's a pretty strong and good asset.
Yes.
So it's up to us, and we have to get busy and work and fight for our to be respected as performing arts, to get subventions, any sort of help, and of course to stay popular. That's the key. It's to keep audiences coming to the shows, to keep young generations wanting to come to the shows and to enjoy circus. I think that's the most important, is to maintain interest of audiences, because otherwise then we are off the economic road, and then if we only
Yeah.
depend on subventions, and we only depend on people giving us money to perform, well, I think that's more of the risky path. Of course, if
But our
both
art
sides.
too is, this is what a lot of people don't understand. Like, anyway, for me and in my family and circus family, yes, it's money, but it's also, there's a whole different thing to it. I was born into it. You're from that. You are familiar with that. That is home. So, when you're coming out of it, like I have 4 weeks off, we have a break. And then I'm already scratching the walls that I want to go back, because that's where I feel like I'm at home. You can put me in a house, you can put me wherever it is. A lot of performers that I grew up in this industry, are very, how do you say it? Like I said, I feel like I'm at home, and I speak with a lot of people as well that are not from the industry. They go back to the home, they go back to the house, and they don't really understand what we feel deeply inside, how connected we are to the art form, to the circus itself. So
I think it's the only way to be able to survive, to take such sacrifices. Traveling with the circus, it must be one of the hardest lives that I can imagine.
very tough.
Constantly on the road, constantly fighting, the battles against the weather, about conditions, living in a caravan, lights, no lights, water, no water, the mud and the animals and
We're very resilient people.
the risk. So yes, it's super, super hard, and the only way people are able to do it if they have their heart in it. Because
Yes,
without the love and to this is no way. I mean, is absolutely no way that someone would
it's tough.
actually.
It's a very hard life. It's a very hard life. But
Yeah.
on another subject, what about your Guinness record? How did you achieve that one?
Yeah. Okay. The Guinness record is a funny thing. Sometimes I think I can read nowadays, especially recently. So many seconds and so many repetitions and I don't know, sequences and especially, let's say, juggling records. I mean, there are a lot of silly records out there. And then I'm just talking about, who's able to sniff a spaghetti through their
Rise
nose
out.
and then spit it out, or those things, because Guinness does also, take on those records, I guess, for the fun factor, for the entertainment value. But it's good to get recognized for something that you've been aiming for. Let's say, as a flying trapeze artist, the first artist who did the quadruple, Miguel Vasquez. He had it. I don't know if he's the very first one or not, but as far as I know, he holds the Guinness World of Records.
As far as I know too, he was the first. Yes.
And
Far
that
as
it's
I
a
know.
statement. Exactly, that's the statement. So that's sort of a written document saying that you were the first one to do quadruple, and it's been recognized, it's recorded, blah blah. So since I juggle with cigar boxes, my aim was to have a record with cigar boxes, and the existing record was a triple spin with 3 boxes performed by the legendary Chris Cremo, which is fantastic and is a super difficult trick. And he also performed a quadruple with a single box. Sometimes I think in the early 80s, I saw a video from a Vegas rehearsal which set the target super high. And then I got to the point where I was practicing 5 spins and the quintuples, and I just couldn't get a clean catch. I mean, I could catch it in ways, but never really clean, having a cigar box in each hand and then having the third one come and then forcibly land and catch in the middle. I never achieved that one. But what I've done is a quadruple pirouette with the 3 cigar boxes in the air. So basically releasing all 3 cigar boxes, doing a quad spin, and then catching them into the original position. This record was done in 1994 and still stands today, which I think is
That's
pretty cool.
fantastic.
It's pretty
That
cool.
is cool.
It's been 30 years and past, and
Maybe nobody's smoking cigars anymore. I don't know.
maybe it's crazy enough to try. I certainly can't do it anymore. And even a quadruple with the 1 cigar box, I've done it a couple of years ago here in my living room, just for fun, entertaining my dog because no one else cares. But at least I can say I've done something with the cigar boxes that has been recognized as a world record. So I use it for promotion. I used it obviously for communications, because the average person thinks if you have a Guinness World Record, you must be good at something, which in a way is true. And in this case, I think yes. But of course, a lot of these records are just they're just funny things.
Amazing. So, what do we got? If a young artist walked up to you today, asking for a piece of advice before entering the world of circus, what would you tell them? What would you tell them?
I would probably, I would probably make sure they have the right devotion, the right desire, because without being hungry, without wanting it badly, without loving it, it's just not worth doing it. So my advice to young people, do it only if you really want to, if you really have the passion, if you really have the love to it, because there are so many other things that you can make it easier, and perhaps a more economically fulfilling living than circus arts. But if you do have the passion, if you do have a connection to it, then it's a wonderful choice, because circus can give you a lot of emotions, love, satisfaction. It's a wonderful world. It's magical, and it's truly unique.
Yes.
Yeah. People who want it hard and really want it bad, yes, go for it and all the way. And my dad used to tell me that if you do something, do it well, because mediocrity has no space in it. There is just not worth it. And let's not even talk about performing under mediocrity. That's just sad. So circus, yes, if you're able to go to the top, if you feel that you're able to make it up there, then absolutely yes.
It's definitely a passion. It's definitely, you need a lot of strength, dedication, and it's not easy achieving what you want to achieve. I know, because I struggled a long time with the triple somersault, And also I was trying the quadruple somersault for many, many years, which I didn't really accomplish, which I tried to be one of the first Australians. I don't know how difficult it is. I'm hoping one of us here in Australia very soon will do that, because we have a really good flying trapeze artist at the moment here, and Australia's really backing him. I'm very proud of him. So hopefully, I don't want to say anything until it gets done, but if it does, it's going to be something great for the Australian country, I'm still the youngest Australian ever to catch a triple somersault, which I still hold that today.
Okay.
For now. And yes, I've had my things in my life, and so I understand the struggles and how difficult it is to achieve those goals. And you're exactly right. You have to push and push and push. But I had a different school, so the luxury of going in and practicing and going home, and it was different. For us, it was a lifestyle. It was a push. It was a kick. We have to get the best contract. We have to get the best job. We have to move forwards the best way. So it was not just hunger. The family and the name and the tradition was the biggest and the most important thing out of it all. And the survival. There's a lot of performers out there. There's a lot of amazing and incredible people. So to stay at that level and to be able to get those contracts, to get that work, you have to always be practicing and make sure you're always at the top. So it's very stressful. It's very difficult.
Yes.
Like you're saying, yes.
It's competitive.
Yes.
And of course, the better one, survives. But that's always been the form, and that's always been part of our industry. But whoever feels to have that desire and have that strength and power, then yes, I say just go for it, enjoy the ride, and try to be as good as you can, because if you make it to the top, it's definitely worth it. It's a wonderful place to be, and it's a wonderful way to express yourself and receive the applause. I think the applause of the people and the recognition of the industry, it's unmatchable. It's something unique, and it's fantastic. And
on another question, on the last one,
yes,
you were here in Australia as well at one stage, or New Zealand, right?
In New Zealand, yes. Michael Edgley's show was the Great Moscow Circus, I think, in '99 and 2000. So I remember having the millennial fireworks in Christchurch, celebrating with a nice group of artists. I did visit Australia, spent a couple of weeks. Conrad Jupiter's and Surface Paradise, and went to Brisbane and of course Sydney. As a child, I remembered a little bit from 1977, of course, but I have a big desire to return and to visit once more, and hopefully life will bring me an opportunity to.
We'd love you to come.
Australia. That would be.
We have some amazing performers here. We have, really good inspirational people over here, and we love the industry. And, back in the day, even for me, when I was growing up, we didn't have the luxury of all these different circuses, different people that we could visit. So how we had to learn, we had to get videotapes sent over. So if somebody had a videotape like the Vasquez and the Caballeros and all that sort of stuff, then it was like a treasure, because we're so far away. So we would watch them for hours and study that, rewind, fast forward. Look, this is how he's doing it. This is how he's doing it, So a lot of performers in Australia have done well is because of all the tapes and things that we could get from overseas. Now you can put on YouTube, you can have a look at things. But back in the day, for the older generation, it was very, very difficult to get their hands on anything. So that's why here the Australians I believe they're very resilient. They're very good performers, and we have some amazing circuses over here, that I'm very proud of.
Good, good. That's it's wonderful to hear that, and of course the technology, as you said, with YouTube, social media is spreading information real time and faster to all corners of the world, and we can see even Africa coming up stronger and stronger with better performances, with schools popping up in Tanzania, in Ghana, in Ethiopia, in Kenya, and so on and so forth, which is wonderful because circus is spreading around the world. In Asia, Mongolia is doing fantastic. Vietnam is coming up, and yeah, I think it's a global art. Performing art like circus is unique. I'm just repeating myself. It's the only living art that really connects to all the families, to all ages, and I think as long as families are there and children are born, I think circus will be always on demand, and circus will survive.
Yes. Well, Kristian, I have no words, and I want to say thank you for talking to me and being a part of this project and what I'm doing, because I'm really trying my best to speak with people like yourself and to preserve stories and so that the next generation can look back and learn some things, through video, not just through paper.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Carlo. I wish you good luck with your project and keep recording and yeah, you're doing a great. It's a great investment for the future, and as you said, for the youth, it would be great to have such tool to rewind and to look at, to listen to, so we are not just learning from the tricks on how to swing on the flying trapeze, but we're also learning from these stories and perhaps from people who can share their knowledge. And yeah, so let's preserve the real essence of circus arts and of what we have been fortunate enough to witness and live ourselves for the next generations. It's a heritage that we must continue, and your job is you taking up some responsibility, and at the same time, I think you are giving and you're securing also a lot for future generations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlo.
And I hope to see you very soon.
See you around. Circus Ring is round, so I'm sure we'll catch up with each other sooner or later. Okay, take care.
Thank you. And
have a wonderful night there. Thank you.
I will. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Carlo.